The grand ballroom of the Rosewood Hotel sparkled with crystal chandeliers and the murmur of wealth. Champagne flowed like water, designer gowns swished across marble floors, and the city's elite gathered for the annual Children's Hospital Charity Gala. It was the kind of event where a single donation could change lives, and a single misstep could end careers. Lily Bennett stood near the catering station, adjusting her simple black dress for the 100th time. She wasn't supposed to be here, not really. Her manager at the Morning Brew Cafe had called in a favor, and suddenly Lily found herself serving coffee at an event where her entire year's salary wouldn't buy a single piece of jewelry on display. "Just smile, pour coffee, and don't drop anything," she whispered to herself, gripping the silver coffee pot tighter. "You can do this. It's just coffee. You've been making coffee for 5 years. This is literally your superpower." The crowd parted, and Lily caught her first glimpse of him. Damien Cross moved through the ballroom in his wheelchair with the presence of a king surveying his kingdom. His tailored black suit fit perfectly, his dark hair was styled with precision, and his steel-gray eyes seemed to calculate the value of every person in the room. He was handsome in a way that made people nervous, all sharp angles and controlled power. At 32, he had built Cross Industries into a tech empire, and everyone knew his story. 3 years ago, a car accident had left him unable to walk. 2 years ago, his fiancée had left him at his lowest point. 1 year ago, he had returned to the business world colder and more ruthless than ever. "That's Damien Cross," someone whispered nearby. "They say he fired 12 assistants last month alone. I heard he made a board member cry during a presentation. He's brilliant, but absolutely terrifying." Lily watched him, curiosity replacing nervousness. He looked lonely, she thought. Surrounded by hundreds of people, yet completely isolated in his perfectly controlled bubble. "Coffee, miss?" An older woman approached her station, elegant in a midnight blue gown. "Of course." Lily smiled warmly, pouring a perfect cup. "Cream or sugar?" "Black, darling. Just like my son prefers it." The woman's eyes twinkled with mischief. "I'm Victoria Cross." Lily nearly dropped the pot. This was Damien Cross's mother, and she looked nothing like the dragon lady people whispered about. Victoria had warm brown eyes, silver hair styled in an elegant updo, and a smile that suggested she knew secrets the universe hadn't discovered yet. "It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Cross." Lily handed her the coffee with slightly shaky hands. "The honor is mine, dear. What's your name?" "Lily. Lily Bennett. Beautiful name for a beautiful soul. I can always tell." Victoria sipped her coffee, nodding approval. "Perfect. Would you do me a tremendous favor, Lily? Take a cup to my son. He's been scowling at his phone for 20 minutes, and I worry he'll turn into stone if someone doesn't intervene." Before Lily could politely decline, Victoria had already moved away, leaving her holding a cup of black coffee and staring across the ballroom at the most intimidating man she had ever seen. "Okay, Lily. Just walk over there. Give him coffee. Walk away. Simple." She took a deep breath and started across the gleaming floor. She was 10 feet away when her heel caught on the edge of a carpet. Time slowed down in that horrible way it does during disasters. Lily felt herself falling forward, watched the coffee cup fly from her hand in a perfect arc, and heard her own voice cry out in horror as the scalding liquid splashed directly onto Damien Cross's expensive suit. The ballroom went silent. Every conversation stopped. Every eye turned to witness the catastrophe. Damien looked down at his coffee-stained suit, then slowly raised his gaze to Lily, who was sprawled on the floor in front of his wheelchair, her dress twisted around her legs, her face burning with humiliation. "I am so sorry." The words tumbled out of Lily's mouth as she scrambled to her feet. "I tripped, and the coffee just flew, and I know that suit probably costs more than my car, and I'm so incredibly sorry. Please don't sue me. I don't have anything worth suing for except maybe my coffee maker, and honestly, it's pretty old. She expected fury. She expected the legendary Damien Cross ice storm that made grown executives weep. Instead, something impossible happened. The corner of his mouth twitched. Just slightly, just for a second, but Lily saw it. An almost smile. Are you hurt? His voice was deep, controlled, but not angry. Lily blinked. Am I hurt? You're the one covered in coffee. You fell. I'm asking if you're injured. Oh. No, just my dignity. That's pretty much dead. Lily looked around at the staring crowd, then back at Damien. I should probably get fired now, right? Is there a form for this? Do I just leave, or is there an official ceremony where everyone watches me walk out in shame? You work for the Morning Brew, Damien observed, his eyes scanning her name tag that had somehow survived the fall. For probably 5 more minutes, yes. You make good coffee, even if your delivery method needs work. Lily's jaw dropped. Was he joking? Could the Ice King actually joke? Mr. Cross, I apologize on behalf of the catering company. The event manager rushed over, wringing his hands. This young woman will be dismissed immediately. That won't be necessary, Damien said calmly, still looking at Lily. Accidents happen. Though I suggest investing in more sensible shoes for your staff. The manager looked confused, relief and disappointment warring on his face. He had clearly been ready for a dramatic firing. Victoria appeared beside them, hiding a smile behind her coffee cup. Damien, darling, why don't we get you cleaned up? And Lily, dear, could you stop by Cross Industries tomorrow? Say, 9 in the morning? I have a proposition for you. A proposition? Lily repeated, confused. My son needs a new assistant. His previous ones lacked a certain quality. Victoria's eyes sparkled with the kind of mischief that terrified and delighted in equal measure. You, my dear, have exactly what he needs. Mother, Damien's voice held a warning. Trust me on this one, darling. When have I ever been wrong? Damien looked at Lily, really looked at her, and for a moment, she forgot about the staring crowd, the coffee disaster, and her burning embarrassment. Those gray eyes saw something in her, measured something she didn't understand. 9 o'clock, he finally said. Don't be late. And wear better shoes. Then he turned his wheelchair and moved through the parting crowd, leaving Lily standing in a puddle of coffee, her heart racing, and her mind spinning with a single thought. What just happened? As the gala continued around her and whispers filled the air, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that her entire life had just changed direction. She had come here to pour coffee. She was leaving with an appointment that might alter everything. Victoria touched her arm gently. He needs someone who sees him as human, dear. Not as the Ice King everyone fears. Can you do that? Lily looked at the retreating figure of Damien Cross, saw the loneliness beneath the armor, and found herself nodding. I can try. Good. That's all anyone can do. Victoria smiled, warm and knowing. Welcome to the most interesting chapter of your life, Lily Bennett. I hope you're ready. As Lily walked out of the Rosewood Hotel that night, she looked up at the stars and laughed. Ready? She wasn't ready at all. But something told her that was exactly the point. The lobby of Cross Industries looked like something from a future where only perfect people existed. Glass walls stretched 30 floors high, chrome fixtures gleamed under designer lighting, and everyone moved with the kind of purpose that came from knowing exactly where they belonged. Lily stood in the center of it all, clutching her worn purse and feeling like she had accidentally wandered onto a movie set. You can do this, she whispered, smoothing down her navy blue dress. She had borrowed it from her roommate, along with the sensible black flats that Victoria had wisely suggested. It's just a job interview. The worst he can say is no. Well, He could also say you're fired before you're even hired, but let's think positive thoughts. The receptionist, a woman with perfect posture and a smile that never quite reached her eyes, directed her to the elevator. 30th floor. Someone will meet you there. The elevator ride felt like ascending into another dimension. Lily watched the numbers climb, each floor taking her further from the normal world she understood. When the doors opened on the 30th floor, she stepped into a space that was somehow both vast and intimate. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city spread below like a promised land, while sleek desks arranged in perfect rows housed employees who typed with the intensity of concert pianists. "You must be Lily Bennett." A man approached, extending his hand with a genuine smile that immediately put her at ease. He was in his mid-30s, wearing a gray suit that looked expensive but comfortable, with kind blue eyes behind stylish glasses. "I'm James Porter, Chief Operating Officer and the only person Damien actually tolerates. Welcome to the Lion's Den." Lily shook his hand, grateful for the warmth. "Is it always this intimidating?" "Only on days ending in Y." James grinned. "Come on, I'll show you to your desk." Fair warning, Damien's in what we call a mood, which means he's even more particular than usual. Last assistant lasted 3 days before she quit crying in the bathroom. "That's encouraging. I like your sense of humor. You'll need it." James led her past rows of busy employees, some of whom looked up with curious expressions. "Here's your station. Right outside the big glass office where Damien rules his empire. You'll handle his schedule, correspondence, meetings, and basically anything he decides he doesn't want to deal with, which is most human interaction." Lily looked at the pristine desk, the high-tech computer, and the glass walls separating her from Damien's office. Inside, she could see him, head bent over his laptop, fingers moving across the keyboard with focused intensity. He hadn't looked up once. "Does he ever smile?" Lily asked. "Legend says he did once, back in 2019. But it might be a myth." James checked his watch. "He's expecting you at 9:15. That gives you 10 minutes to settle in and question all your life choices. Coffee's down the hall, bathrooms to your left, and the emergency exit is right there, though most people use it metaphorically." As James walked away, Lily sat down at her desk and took a deep breath. She logged into the computer using the credentials James had left on a note, and her screen filled with Damien's schedule. It was color-coded, timed down to 5-minute intervals, and looked more complex than a space mission. 9:15 arrived faster than she wanted. Lily stood, smoothed her dress one more time, and knocked on the glass door. "Come in." Damien's voice was crisp, professional, distant. She entered his office, which was somehow even more impressive than the rest of the floor. Modern furniture, abstract art that probably cost more than a house, and windows that made you feel like you were floating above the city. Damien sat behind a massive desk, his wheelchair positioned perfectly, his attention still on his laptop. "Sit." He gestured to the chair across from him without looking up. Lily sat, folding her hands in her lap and waiting. Silence stretched between them, broken only by the soft clicking of his keyboard. 2 minutes passed. Then 3. She wondered if this was a test, if he was waiting for her to speak first or fidget or give him a reason to dismiss her. Finally, he looked up. Those gray eyes studied her with the same intensity she remembered from the gala, measuring, calculating, searching for something. "My mother hired you," he said flatly. "Against my explicit instructions never to interfere with my staffing decisions again. She seems very determined." That's a diplomatic way of saying impossible. Damien closed his laptop. "I don't need an assistant. I need someone who can anticipate what I want before I want it, who never makes mistakes, who understands that excellence isn't optional, and who won't fall apart when I expect perfection. The last 12 people my mother sent couldn't handle it." "What makes you different?" Lily considered lying, presenting herself as more qualified than she was. But something about those eyes told her he would see through any pretense. "I'm not different," she admitted. "I'm probably going to make mistakes. I don't have corporate experience, and I definitely can't anticipate your needs before you have them. But I'm honest, I work hard, and I don't give up easily. Your mother saw something in me at the gala. Maybe it's worth finding out what that was." Damien leaned back, studying her. "You spilled coffee on me. I'm aware. I'm still very sorry about that. You apologized 7 times. Then you made a joke about your coffee maker. Nervous habit. I talk when I'm scared. Are you scared now?" Lily met his gaze directly. Terrified. But also curious. "Everyone says you're the Ice King, that you're impossible to work for, that you'll fire me before lunch. But at the gala, you asked if I was hurt. You made a joke about my shoes. That's not an Ice King. That's someone who's been hurt and built walls so high nobody can climb them." The silence that followed was different. Heavier. Charged with something Lily couldn't name. Damien's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or recognition. "You're very observant for someone who can't walk across a room without causing disaster. I prefer to think of it as making memorable entrances." The corner of his mouth twitched. The almost smile from the gala. 1-week trial. "You'll manage my schedule, handle correspondence, attend meetings, and learn our systems. If you make it 7 days without catastrophe, we'll discuss continuing. If you don't, you go back to your cafe with no hard feelings. Agreed?" "Agreed." Lily extended her hand across the desk. Damien looked at her hand for a moment, then shook it. His grip was firm, warm, and lasted a second longer than necessary. "Welcome to Cross Industries, Miss Bennett. Try not to destroy anything expensive." The first 3 days were chaos. Lily learned systems that made her head spin, managed a schedule that would terrify military generals, and fielded calls from people whose names she recognized from business magazines. She made mistakes, plenty of them. She scheduled a meeting for the wrong time, sent an email to the wrong person, and once accidentally transferred a very important call to the mailroom. But she didn't quit. And Damien didn't fire her. Instead, something unexpected happened. She started to see patterns in his behavior, understand his preferences, anticipate his needs. When he worked late, she ordered dinner from his favorite restaurant without being asked. When meetings ran long, she rescheduled the rest of his day seamlessly. When his mother called, Lily learned to screen with diplomatic skill. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the ice began to crack. "You remembered," Damien said on Thursday afternoon, looking at the green tea she had placed on his desk. "You always drink coffee in the morning and green tea after 3. It's not that complicated." The last 5 assistants never noticed. The last 5 assistants were probably too scared to pay attention. He looked at her then, really looked at her, and Lily saw something she hadn't expected. Gratitude. Thank you. 2 simple words that somehow felt monumental. On Friday, everything changed. Lily arrived early to prepare for a crucial board meeting about a potential merger. She was organizing documents when she overheard voices from the conference room. "Damien Cross is a liability." The voice was smooth, confident, female. "He's brilliant, yes, but he's also damaged goods. The board is losing confidence." Lily froze, recognizing the speaker. Rachel Sterling, Damien's ex-fiancée, now representing the company trying to acquire Cross Industries. She was everything Lily wasn't: tall, perfectly polished, with the kind of beauty that came from expensive salons and designer everything. "The accident changed him," another voice agreed. "He's too isolated, too controlling. Maybe this merger is what the company needs." "What the company needs," Rachel continued, "is leadership that isn't broken. Rage flooded through Lily, hot and protective. She didn't think. She just acted. She walked into the conference room, all eyes turning to her. Rachel raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow, her expression a mix of amusement and disdain. "Can we help you?" Rachel's tone suggested Lily was an insect that had wandered into the wrong ecosystem. "I'm Damien Cross's assistant," Lily said, her voice steadier than she felt. "And I couldn't help but overhear your conversation." "Corporate espionage?" Rachel smiled coldly. "How quaint." "No. Just someone who actually knows the man you're discussing like he's a broken piece of furniture." Lily stepped further into the room, feeling every eye on her. Damien Cross built this company from nothing. He survived an accident that would have destroyed most people and came back stronger. He works 18-hour days, makes decisions that affect thousands of employees, and yes, he expects excellence. That's not damaged. That's determination. And you would know this how? Rachel's smile turned sharp. "You've been here what, a week? I was engaged to him for 3 years. I know exactly what he is." "Then why did you leave when he needed you most?" The room went silent. Rachel's face flushed with anger. "You have no idea what you're talking about." "I know enough. I know you're here representing a company trying to take advantage of board members who underestimate him. I know you're spreading doubt about a man who's never failed at anything except trusting the wrong person." Lily's hands were shaking, but her voice never wavered. "And I know that if you think Damien Cross is broken, you're the one who doesn't understand strength." "This is inappropriate," one of the board members sputtered. "Young lady, you're out of line." "Maybe. But someone needed to say it." "Get out," Rachel said coldly. "Before I have you fired." "You can't fire me. You don't work here." The door behind Lily opened. Damien's wheelchair rolled into the room, his presence instantly commanding attention. His face was unreadable, but his eyes were fixed on Lily. "Miss Bennett," his voice was controlled, quiet. "A word. Now." Lily's heart sank. She had just destroyed everything. She followed Damien out of the conference room, aware of Rachel's triumphant smile, the shocked faces of the board members, and James's worried expression from across the floor. Damien didn't speak until they reached his office. He closed the door, positioned his wheelchair to face her, and finally looked up. "That was the most reckless, unprofessional, inappropriate thing I've ever witnessed from an employee." Lily nodded, fighting tears. "I know. I'm sorry. I just heard what they were saying about you, and I couldn't stand there and let them talk about you like you were something broken that needed fixing. You're not broken, Damien. You're the strongest person I've ever met, and they don't deserve to be in the same room as you, let alone judge you." Silence stretched between them. Then Damien did something that stopped Lily's heart. He smiled. A real smile, full and genuine, that transformed his entire face. "No one has ever defended me like that. Not even when I could walk." Then they were all idiots. He laughed. An actual laugh, rich and warm and completely unexpected. "You realize you just potentially sabotaged a $50 million deal and insulted half the board." "I know. I'm probably fired." "You're not fired, Lily. You're the first person in 3 years who's seen me as something other than a project to fix or a monster to fear. Do you have any idea how rare that is?" Lily wiped at her eyes, not sure if she was crying or laughing or both. "So I still have a job." "You have more than a job." Damien moved his wheelchair closer, looking up at her with an expression that made her breath catch. "You have my trust. And I don't give that easily." The moment hung between them, charged with possibilities neither was quite ready to name. Then James knocked on the door, breaking the spell. "Damien, the board is demanding a response to what just happened." Damien's smile turned sharp, calculating. Tell them Miss Bennet was acting on my explicit orders. Tell them if they have concerns about my leadership, they're welcome to challenge me directly instead of gossiping in conference rooms. And tell them the merger is off the table." James grinned. "With pleasure." As James left, Damien looked back at Lily. 1 week turned into 2. "Let's see how far we can take this partnership, Miss Bennet." Lily smiled, feeling something shift in her chest. Something dangerous and wonderful and terrifying. "I'd like that, Mr. Cross." Neither of them mentioned that it felt like more than a professional partnership. Neither acknowledged the way their eyes held a second too long, or how the air between them seemed to hum with unspoken words. But across the floor, through the glass walls, Victoria Cross watched from a visitor's chair and smiled into her coffee cup. Some matches were made in heaven. Others were made by determined mothers with excellent instincts. And this one, she thought with satisfaction, was going to be spectacular. 3 months changed everything and nothing. Lily became indispensable to Cross Industries, moving through the office with confidence that surprised even her. She knew Damien's schedule better than he did, handled crisis situations with calm efficiency, and had somehow earned the respect of employees who initially saw her as another temporary assistant doomed to fail. But more than that, something had shifted between her and Damien. The professional distance they maintained during work hours couldn't hide the way his eyes followed her across rooms, or how her heart jumped every time he smiled, which he did more often now. They had inside jokes. They finished each other's sentences. They worked together like 2 parts of the same machine, perfectly synchronized. And neither of them acknowledged what everyone else could see. They were falling in love. "You're staring again," James said quietly, appearing beside Lily's desk with his trademark knowing smile. She had been watching Damien through the glass wall as he took a video call, his expression focused and commanding. "I'm observing," Lily corrected, pulling her gaze back to her computer. "It's part of my job to anticipate his needs." "Right. And the way you blush every time he says your name is also professional anticipation." James set a folder on her desk. "For the record, I approve. He's different since you arrived. More human. Less Ice King, more actual human being with feelings. We're just colleagues, James." "Sure. And I'm secretly a superhero. We all have our delusions." He walked away whistling, leaving Lily to wonder if her feelings were really that obvious. The answer came that afternoon when Rachel Sterling returned. Lily was organizing files when the elevator doors opened and Rachel emerged, dressed in a crimson power suit that probably cost more than Lily's monthly rent. She walked straight past Lily's desk without acknowledgement and knocked on Damien's door. "We need to talk," Rachel said, her voice carrying through the glass. "Privately." Damien looked up, his expression cooling instantly. "I have nothing to say to you, Rachel. 5 minutes. Please. It's important." Something in her tone must have convinced him because he nodded curtly. Rachel entered his office, closing the door behind her. Lily tried to focus on her work, tried not to watch through the glass walls, but her stomach twisted with anxiety she had no right to feel. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Through the glass, Lily could see Rachel leaning against Damien's desk, gesturing expressively. At one point, she reached out to touch his hand. He pulled away, but Rachel persisted, moving her wheelchair closer. "Don't worry about her," Sophie Chen said, appearing at Lily's desk. Sophie worked in marketing and had made her dislike of Lily clear from day one. "Rachel and Damien have history. Real history. Not whatever you think you're building with coffee runs and scheduling." "I'm not worried," Lily lied. "You should be. Rachel comes from his world. Wealth, power, connections. She understands him in ways you never could." Sophie smiled sweetly. "You're a phase, honey. A charity project his mother forced on him. Rachel is endgame." Before Lily could respond, Damien's door opened. Rachel emerged, looking satisfied, and walked to Lily's desk. "Be a dear and clear Damien's schedule for tomorrow evening. We have dinner plans at the Azure Room." Rachel's smile was victorious. "It's our old anniversary tradition. I'm sure you understand." She left before Lily could form words, leaving her staring at the closing elevator doors with her heart somewhere in her stomach. That evening, Lily stayed late to finish quarterly reports. The office emptied until it was just her, the cleaning crew, and Damien still working in his office. She was about to leave when his door opened. "You're still here," Damien said, surprise evident in his voice. "Just finishing up. I didn't want to leave things undone." Lily saved her work and shut down her computer, avoiding his gaze. "Lily, look at me." She did, and something in his expression made her breath catch. Concern. Vulnerability. Something deeper she was afraid to name. What Rachel said today, about dinner tomorrow. He moved his wheelchair closer. "I didn't agree to it. She announced it without asking, and I'm not going. You don't have to explain yourself to me. Your personal life is your business." "Is it?" Damien's voice was soft. "Because for the past 3 months, my personal life has become increasingly difficult to separate from you." Lily's heart hammered. "Damien. I know this is inappropriate. I know you work for me, and there are 1,000 reasons why this is a terrible idea." He reached out, taking her hand in his. "But I can't stop thinking about you. The way you make me laugh. The way you see past everything everyone else sees. The way you defended me without hesitation, even when it could have cost you everything. I defended you because you're worth defending." Lily's voice shook. "Because you're brilliant and kind underneath all the armor. Because somewhere in the last 3 months, you became the most important person in my life, and I don't know how to not care about you." "Then don't." He pulled her closer, and she found herself kneeling beside his wheelchair, their faces inches apart. "Don't stop caring. Don't leave. Don't let them convince you that you don't belong here, because Lily, you're the only thing in 3 years that's made sense." "What are we doing?" she whispered. "Something reckless. Something real." His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing across her cheek. "Something I've been wanting to do since you spilled coffee on me and made me feel alive for the first time since the accident." When he kissed her, the world narrowed to that single point of connection. His lips were soft, gentle, questioning, and when Lily kissed him back, pouring 3 months of longing into that moment, she felt him sigh against her mouth like he'd finally found something he'd been searching for his entire life. They broke apart slowly, foreheads resting together, breathing each other's air. "This is going to complicate everything," Lily said. "I don't care. Your mother is going to be insufferable when she finds out. She already knows. She's been dropping hints for weeks." Lily laughed, the sound bright and free. "Of course she has." They stayed like that, wrapped in the moment, until reality intruded in the form of Damien's phone ringing. He answered reluctantly, his expression darkening as he listened. "When? How bad?" He looked at Lily, concern evident. "I'll be right there." "What's wrong?" Lily asked as he hung up. "There's a problem with the Henderson account. Someone leaked our bid to competitors. We're about to lose a $50 million contract." He moved toward the elevator. "I need to go to the office downtown and handle this personally. I'm coming with you." "Lily, it's 11 at night. And you're my boss, my partner, and apparently now the man I just kissed." "I'm coming." His smile was quick and warm. "Has anyone ever told you that you're stubborn?" "Constantly. It's one of my best qualities." They worked through the night at the downtown office, piecing together how the leak happened. It was Lily who noticed the pattern: emails sent from Sophie's computer, meetings Sophie attended where sensitive information was discussed. Sophie's been feeding information to Rachel, Lily said, showing Damien the evidence. They've been planning this for weeks. The dinner invitation was a distraction while they finalized their takeover bid. Damien's expression went cold and calculating, the Ice King returning in full force. But when he looked at Lily, his eyes softened. You saved us. Again. We're a team, she said simply. The confrontation the next morning was swift and brutal. Sophie confessed when faced with the evidence, and Rachel's involvement in corporate espionage ended any remaining influence she had over board members. But the victory felt hollow when Victoria called with news that changed everything. Damien, darling, there's something you need to know about the accident. Victoria's voice was unusually serious over the speakerphone. I hired an investigator after Lily mentioned Rachel's behavior. The brake failure that caused your crash, it wasn't mechanical failure. Rachel paid someone to tamper with your car. Silence filled the office. Lily watched Damien's face drain of color, watched 3 years of pain and recovery recontextualize in a single moment. She tried to kill me, he said quietly. She tried to eliminate you so she could take control of the company through the sympathetic widow angle. When you survived, she left because plan failed. Victoria's voice softened. I'm so sorry, my son. The police have been notified. She's being arrested as we speak. When the call ended, Damien sat motionless, staring at nothing. Lily knelt beside his wheelchair, taking his hands in hers. Damien, talk to me. 3 years, he whispered. 3 years I blamed myself. Thought I'd failed somehow. Built walls so high because I believed I couldn't trust anyone, and it turns out I was right not to trust her, but for reasons I never imagined. You didn't fail. You survived. You built something amazing from the worst moment of your life. That's not failure. That's triumph. He looked at her, eyes bright with unshed tears. You see the best in everything, don't you? I see the truth. And the truth is that you're the strongest, most remarkable man I've ever known. Nothing Rachel did can change that. Damien pulled her close, burying his face in her shoulder. Lily held him, this powerful man who had been hurt so deeply, and felt something settle in her chest. This was love. Real, complicated, sometimes painful love that saw all the broken pieces and chose to stay anyway. Weeks passed. Rachel was prosecuted, Sophie fired, and the company stabilized under Damien's unshakable leadership. But the biggest changes happened in quieter moments. Damien smiled more. He delegated. He took Sundays off to spend with Lily, exploring the city, trying new restaurants, simply existing together without the weight of the corporate world pressing down. 6 months after that first coffee disaster, Damien called a company-wide meeting. Lily stood beside him, confused about why she needed to be present. I have an announcement, Damien said, addressing the assembled employees. For 3 years, I ran this company believing that control and perfection were the same thing. I was wrong. True strength isn't about being perfect. It's about finding someone who makes you want to be better, who challenges you, supports you, and refuses to let you hide behind walls. He looked at Lily, his eyes full of everything they'd been too scared to say. 6 months ago, a woman spilled coffee on me at a charity gala. In that moment, my life changed in ways I never could have predicted. Lily Bennett, you've made me laugh, made me crazy, made me feel human again. You've saved my company twice, defended me when no one else would, and somehow convinced me that I deserve happiness. Lily's eyes widened as Damien pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. I can't get down on one knee, he said with a smile that held both humor and vulnerability. But I can promise you that if you say yes, I will spend every day making sure you never regret taking a chance on a broken man in a wheelchair who didn't deserve you but needed you more than breathing. Damien, Lily whispered, tears streaming down her face. Lily Bennett, will you marry me? The office erupted in cheers before she could answer, but Damien only had eyes for her. Lily dropped to her knees beside his wheelchair, taking his face in her hands. "You were never broken," she said fiercely. "You were always whole. You just needed someone to remind you." And yes, 1,000 times yes. When they kissed, surrounded by applauding employees and the life they'd built together, it felt like every struggle had led to this moment. The coffee disaster, the corporate battles, the pain and healing, all of it had been leading them here. Victoria appeared beside James, both watching with satisfaction. "I told you she was perfect," Victoria said smugly. "You did," James agreed. "Though I'm pretty sure you planned this from the moment she spilled that coffee. A mother knows these things." Later, after the celebration died down and the office emptied, Damien and Lily sat in his office, her perched on the edge of his desk, him holding her hand like it was the most precious thing in the world. "What made you so sure?" Lily asked. "That day at the gala, what made you give me a chance?" Damien thought for a moment. "You apologized 7 times for spilling coffee, then made a joke about your coffee maker. You were completely yourself, no pretense, no calculation. In a room full of people performing their best versions of success, you were just real. And I realized I'd spent 3 years surrounded by perfection and what I actually needed was something true. I'm going to spill things on you for the rest of our lives, you know. I'm still pretty clumsy. I'm counting on it." He pulled her close, kissing her softly. "Every disaster, every imperfect moment, every time you make me laugh when I want to be serious. That's what love is. Not perfection. Just 2 people choosing each other, mess and all." Lily looked out at the city lights, at the life stretching before them full of possibility and promise. She thought about the girl who walked into a gala 6 months ago, nervous and out of place, and the woman she'd become. "I love you, Damien Cross. Ice King, CEO, stubborn perfectionist, and the best thing that ever happened to me. I love you, Lily Bennett. Coffee disaster, defender of lost causes, and the woman who taught me that being broken doesn't mean you can't be whole." They sat together as the city sparkled below, 2 people who had found in each other what the world said was impossible. A love that conquered fear, that broke through walls, that proved the heart's capacity to heal was greater than any wound. And somewhere in heaven, fate smiled and checked off another impossible match. Because sometimes the greatest love stories start with spilled coffee and end with forever. Sometimes the Ice King just needs someone brave enough to melt the frost. And sometimes, defending someone at their lowest becomes the moment that changes 2 lives into one beautiful shared future. The end.